oh my gosh, the defense is up, the guard is up, like the parent is going to be like freaking out inside a bit. The words autism and Asperger's are 100% on my mind at this moment. What do you do if you have a child that you think has autism or Asperger's? I love this question that I just received from Denise. It says, what do you do if you have a child that you think has autism or Asperger's? What do you do? Oh my gosh. Can I just say this is the perfect timing for this question because of literally what just happened today with my own son. So for those who have followed my blog and other things like this, I actually posted this today, but my experience today, I literally was sitting in the Northwest Neurobehavioral waiting room today in Boise, Idaho. I had been waiting for this appointment for a year and a half. My son, who is 7 years old right now, has been struggling since he was 3.5 years old with things that we had no clue what in the world these things are. Behaviors, oh my gosh, behaviors that created enormous stress in our family, in his life, at school, an inability, honestly, to go to school. And the words autism and Asperger's are 100% on my mind at this moment because tomorrow, so today was an entire day of testing, and I won't know the results of that testing. It was psychological testing, social interactions, language and vocab, cognitive. I won't know the results of that specific testing for 2 more months. And I'm like, oh, that one's going to be really hard. But the school where he goes to school, he's in 2nd grade, and the school where he goes to school has been doing their own testing for the last month. And don't worry, I'm getting to your question, and I'm absolutely going to answer it. But if you have this context, it's going to make this answer make so much sense. Question for you right now, post in the comments, have you ever been diagnosed with or known someone diagnosed with autism, Asperger's, ADHD, ADD, sensory processing disorder, anxiety, anything below? Post in the comments if you know somebody who's been diagnosed with that, okay? I'd love to know your experience as well. So back to the story. Tomorrow, literally tomorrow, I will be meeting at 9 a.m. with the school district. They scheduled an IEP meeting with the results that they had with their testing over the last month. And tomorrow morning, I'll be sitting in that chair with, the room full of amazing women and hearing the results of my son's testing from the school. Most likely, what will happen is they will say he's on the autistic spectrum. Most likely what will happen is they will put him in special education. What is difficult about this, as any mother knows who has a child with special ed needs, you want them to get the support. It's difficult to be labeled, yes. Also difficult is that he's also incredibly gifted. So he's what's called is twice exceptional, which has challenges in and of itself. But that right there is the basis for what I'm going to answer your question, because Denise, what do you tell them? First off, we're not doctors, okay? We can't label and say, oh, we think that your child has autism, or we think your child has ADD. Like, we're not doctors, we can't use those words, right? Now, if they use those words, we're welcome to have that dialogue, but we have to remember we're not doctors. We can't diagnose. I do it like this, okay? If there's a child in your classroom that you are concerned about, okay, you're noticing behaviors that are off. Most children don't have these behaviors. My recommendation to you is to have the conversation with the parent like this, and you would want to have them basically be coming into your preschool at a time when there's not a lot of children around. So either a conference time or literally say, hey, could you stay after for 5 minutes of class today? And when that parent is there in a neutral environment, right, I start the conversation with this and I say, I've noticed these behaviors happening in preschool, and I list a behavior or two. Have you noticed this at home? And then I stop talking. If you do it a different way, like, hey, these behaviors are going on and they're really distracting the class and they're really disrupting it because XYZ, and you don't even like like, whoa, the defense is up, the guard is up, like the parent is going to be like freaking out inside a bit and trying to like recover. That's not the goal of this. The goal is actually parent like partnership, okay? Whenever you have a kiddo who you think is off, you really need to do some parent partnership. So yeah, I start the conversation. I've noticed these behaviors. I list the behaviors. Have you noticed these at home? I want to see from her what her comments are, like what her thoughts are on these behaviors, okay? So then that immediately opens the door. She's like, actually, no, I haven't, but you know, I get that that might be happening in class. So yeah, like let's talk about that, right? Or actually, yes, I have seen those at home and I've been really worried about them. You are right now getting literally so much information about what's going on in this mom's world with this behavior. The mom is cluing you in on whether or not she already knows about it and whether or not she's concerned about it. Why is that important for you guys to even know? Oh my gosh. Because you're aware if the mom is like scared about it or if the mom's like oblivious to it, and that's going to guide your next conversation. So if she says things like, no, I actually haven't seen that at class or at home, what you could say is, no worries. I know that home is definitely a different environment than class, right? Because at class we have many students in our classroom, and I get that at home, it's just him and his brother. So that I could see why this behavior might not be popping up, but it is showing up at class. And would it be okay if sometimes it gets a little bit disruptive because of XYZ. And see, right now we're having a conversation. We're not just talking and like spewing stuff at a parent. We're literally trying to have a conversation with her and partner, okay? And then now you start going to the partnering role of how you can help, how she can help at home, have some discussions. We could do sticker charts, whatever it is, right? So that's a great thing if she doesn't know. Now, what if she's like, I've seen that, but like, oh, he's just 3, and I just figure like all 3-year-olds do that, right? And so kind of like sees it, but kind of oblivious to like the concern about it. In those situations, what I would recommend is saying, yeah, I'm glad that you're also seeing this. At school, sometimes it's difficult because, again, XYZ. And then again, you're partnering, but you're realizing that she's kind of like, isn't that like normal child behavior? And so the tricky thing with that is she doesn't realize it might be a problem, and so she'll be a little bit more difficult to work with, but again, you're still having that dialogue, right? Hey, quick question. Are you ready to jump right in and get your preschool started? Oh my gosh, let's go. I would love to invite you to join our Preschool All-Stars. It's my exclusive membership community where you'll be surrounded by hundreds of preschool owners on the same journey as you, starting, running, and growing your preschools. Not to mention, I'm in there answering your questions and giving you support and cheerleading as well. It's the one place you want to be online. Now, also, when you join our Preschool All-Stars, you'll have access to our extensive library of done-for-you files, step-by-step videos, and all of my systems. That's right, you get access to those as a Preschool All-Star member. I can't wait for you to join us. Simply click the link in the description or go to preschoolallstars.com and we'll see you in there. Now, what are you waiting for? Let's go! Come join Preschool All-Stars today. The last one, and this is one of the most important ones, is when the mom says to you, oh my gosh, yes, and I've seen this for like months and I don't know what it is, and like, this is a mom who's really scared inside and probably would never come to you with this concern because she's worried that it's gonna lead to a diagnosis, to a label, to something that's like out of her control, but she knows something's off with her kid too. That's one of the best situations because you've got a mom who's probably ready right there to go talk to her pediatrician, okay? And that's the next step. After you have that conversation with mom, the next step is, let's keep monitoring this, but if you've noticed this for a while, like this is not something that's new, then how about you talk to your pediatrician about it, because he'll know, if it's something that needs to have another look at. Of course, I'm not a doctor, so I think it'd just be, when you're in your next doctor appointment, or if it's not for a while, maybe you could just schedule one for a checkup. Go ahead and have him, just share the experience about what's going on here and what you see at home, and then they'll be able to guide you from there with more steps. And don't worry, there are more steps, and you got to be kind of sensitive to some of these steps because it depends on where the parent's at, but in their processing. So if the parent's like literally actively looking for solutions, what I definitely say is, just so you know, like So if they're like thumbs up, like everything's good, I want more information about like how I can help my child because I've been wondering but I didn't know like what to do, then you say things like, you know, talk to the pediatrician obviously, but then also the school district usually offers a free screening, so you could definitely look into that. Here's a phone number. Okay, you're trying to get her connected to the resources. If it was a speech thing, right? And then you can explain that if for some reason the, you know, developmental screener doesn't pick up the speech or doesn't think it's significant enough, you know, here's this other speech program that can do an assessment on the kiddo, to be able to find out if there's another place, like another deficit here for speech that maybe isn't bad enough for the free preschool program, but maybe could still benefit from some speech therapy. So there's definitely routes to go. I would be very cautious to introduce your own experiences into the mix because right now, usually the parent is like all eyes on their kid, and it's, if you start saying, oh, and my kid did this, and you know, I had an experience with this, sometimes the parent loses a rapport. You're gonna have to judge that one, but if you ever talk about like your own experience with your own kids, just do realize, like, be short and brief about it, guys. Don't go into long stories. They're not here for that. They're here for their own child, and again, focus on their own child. So that is, you know, that's how I absolutely talk to parents about, because we've definitely had kiddos with autism, with Asperger's, with sensory processing, with ADD. Some of them came with labels already diagnosed. Some of them received labels with diagnoses after, obviously, things had happened in the preschool and they were able to get some services and some testing done. And we were able to find out the results of these things, okay? And then other kiddos, we don't know what it was, okay? And we never really know because the parents didn't take those steps. They didn't get the testing. And sometimes the behaviors just continue, right? Sometimes they go away, but sometimes they don't. So what does this have to do with my son and his testing experience, right? Well, I was one of those parents who thought that I didn't need to get my kid tested because I thought I knew best, and I was trying to diagnose him myself. I taught over 1,000 students, right? I knew this world inside and out. I looked at all the symptoms of autism and Asperger's, and I say, well, he has like 10 of those that, yes, that's autism, but he doesn't have the stimming and the flapping, so there's no way it's autism. Or he has this, but he doesn't have this, right? And I would say he doesn't hit those check boxes, so therefore it's not that. And I'd say, what do I do with this kid? He has like, you know, 10 things of 6 different diagnoses, but like not all of them, right? So it can't just be one. How can it be all 6? And literally, this is where I'm at right now, where I wish I had gotten him tested way earlier. You know, at age 3.5, something flipped a switch up there and something changed with him. I don't know what it was. I've thought for many years on what happened. I don't know. But I do know that, you know, after waiting for 6 months to see if it was a stage, after waiting for a year to see if it was a stage, it clearly wasn't. And I absolutely should have gotten in, you know, at least at the 6-month mark to say, yep, it wasn't a stage, and what do we do here at pediatrician, and move down that process. So highly recommend that if you have those situations, you open up that dialogue, and the earlier the better, okay? If a parent's kind of like, well, I don't know, you can always say to them, honestly, the earlier the better, because all the connections in the brain, all of this, you know, these things that are developing, the earlier that we can help and support them, the more able to process and like the more able to be successful in the world they will be, okay? So it's the concept is the earlier always is the better. So yeah, that's basically, you know, my experience with having a kiddo, and obviously I have one of my own, and tomorrow we'll find out what the school says. Couple months from now, I'm sure I'll write another post on the full results. I do this because I am trying to share this message with people to basically like, yes, start the conversations. Don't be afraid of it. I have had a couple parents who have basically said, you know, I know that that's there, but I don't want to get them tested because I don't want the label when they hit elementary school. And for those parents, there's almost nothing you can do. You can keep talking and you can keep recommending it, but if they're firm, and there's usually a very significant reason why they are firm, there's not much you can do. It's literally like, we've done everything we can. We've gotten, short of us taking the child to the pediatrician, which is like, you can't do that. You've done everything you can, and that's sometimes, as a preschool teacher, that's all you can do. So I hope that was super helpful. Subscribe, share, and like this video to anyone that you know, because we need to get this message out about early detection in some of these things. We need to be able to share this with the mothers who are struggling out there worried that their own child has something that they don't know what it is, let's share this message.